Hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about stuff, and it's going to be a bit of a doozy. There are a lot of people within the space who like Bitcoin. There are people within the space who love Bitcoin. And then there are people who stand at the top of a pyramid and they think that Bitcoin is just the bee's knees. If you haven't heard of the bee's knees, you're not from the 1960s. Neither am I. The idea is that Bitcoin at some point this is the idea, that Bitcoin at some point is going to basically take over the world. It has to do, this is nothing more. There's no cherry on top. There's no whipped cream. It is just the cake. If the demand continues at the current rate that we see it for Bitcoin right now, we will at some point have to go higher in price. That's how supply and demand works. We work on a slightly different system where the demand keeps rising for Bitcoin, but the supply of Bitcoin is not increasing. Even the amount of coins coming out of the machine, for those of you who somehow passed over the halving, was 900 coins per day. It's now down to 450. That 450 will soon be 225. It'll be here before you know it. The other issue that we have is that those 450 coins that come out of the machine per day, where it's two-pronged. Well, one, there's more than 450 Bitcoin being purchased per day. Cool. The other side of it has to do with the people who are mining or creating those 450 coins are not selling 450 coins. Why? Because they want those coins as well for themselves. They're not mining it to hey, take my money. No, they are also expecting crazy Bitcoin prices in the future. If we have the same level of accumulation that we see right now, we at some point must, literally by math's laws, hit a 7-figure Bitcoin. It is just literally how the math actually works. However, the issue is that our demand is not remaining the same. It continues to tick ever higher every single day. We are getting thousands of new people into the Bitcoin market daily. And even if only 10 people of those 1,000 continue to accumulate Bitcoin at a daily, weekly, monthly rate, the price is going to increase. When you talk about the people who are paying attention to this is why we're seeing this extra level of accumulation, especially over the last couple of months. This halving is going to be the catalyst for us actually getting to a multi-6-figure Bitcoin and moving to a 7-figure Bitcoin. We are in a peculiar spot right now because the market is no longer us. Many years ago, the cryptocurrency market, back in 2011, 2012, I read a lot of old books about crypto, was basically like the nerds of the space who are all billionaires now. So, it worked out for them. The 2015, 2016, 2017 were the hyper early adopters of the market. And now we're moving into a phase where the world is figuring out what's going on. When I say it's no longer us, it's because the institutions are really here now. We heard rumors about this in 2019 from Coinbase and Gemini, who were like, hey, big money's coming to the market. And we were like, shut your face. No, it's not. Because we could not have conceptualized in 2019 that these monstrous companies would even think of entering the cryptocurrency space. Jack Dorsey is in the news once again. Jack Dorsey is like a top of the pyramid Bitcoin maximalist. Like, he believes, for those of you who didn't hear his rants and ramblings in the 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21, or 22, Jack Dorsey believes that Bitcoin is going to be the only, I know, calm down, the only currency on the planet. He thinks that, based off of the demand of Bitcoin and its price consistently rising, that people will begin to sell off their gold, their silver, their homes, or rather their vacation homes, any other, where they're not living, to push that money into Bitcoin. He also thinks that Bitcoin is going to gobble up the other altcoins. This I do slightly believe in, as far as we don't need 10,000 coins in the market. I think we have a number of coins that will probably be with us for a while. I won't name them for, preference sake, but there's a handful of coins we will have around. However, the other garbage ones that we have on the market will be sold off, and that money, those billions and hundreds of millions of dollars, will also flow into Bitcoin. The time frame for this varies dramatically. I assumptioned years ago that it would take about to the year 2045 for us to see some really crazy movement in the market. How wrong I was. Because not only are the institutions here, the countries are here. The cryptocurrency regulation has ramped up quite significantly, and we are now seeing the infrastructure, that's the word, being put in place for crypto to literally thrive. As long as they're not banning it and regulating it, it means we can use it and make money from it. Jack Dorsey has stated, remember I told you in many other videos that these price predictions that we're getting from these people are all the same. If you've been here before, you'll know that usually they're never the same. They all kind of go in different directions because everyone has a different idea as to where the market's going to go. But we've kind of all honed in on the exact same topic. This is not about the year 2040. It's not about the year 2050. It's not about the year 2060. And those numbers should literally terrify you. Jack Dorsey believes that by the year 2030, that is more or less 5.5 years from now, because of the ETFs, because of the buying, because of the institutions, because of the lack of selling, because of the accumulation that we're seeing in this market right now, and the same, that cutoff thing, that same basic level of demand that we're seeing, if it's continued on this level, but it keeps rising higher. He said by 2030, we will have at least a $1 million Bitcoin. This, as you might remember, has been echoed by, I want to say, just a smidge under a dozen people at this point. Institutions, people, blah, 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 blah. You get the general idea. $1 million Bitcoin signifies that we have not only passed by the market cap of gold. You might remember the other video where I was like, baga, baga, baga. We just passed by the market cap of silver, and people yawned as if we didn't pass by this 5,000-year-old currency. $1 million means we've passed by the market cap of gold, and people have begun to rapidly sell their gold, realizing that they're not making the same profits as they could have or would have with Bitcoin. That's something we went over a couple of weeks ago as well, where a bunch of people were in the news talking about that gold was outperforming Bitcoin. And I was like, do you know how numbers work? Have you not looked at the screen before? Gold cannot catch up to Bitcoin Unless gold literally goes to $125,000 per ounce this year. It is mathematically impossible. $1 million Bitcoin signifies that people have lost trust in the US dollar. And I mean, we're already at the point where, Google it, the US dollar has currently now already lost 99.9% of its value compared to Bitcoin. Google it. Look it up. It's real. If Bitcoin goes to $300,000, the US dollar is all but worthless. If Bitcoin goes to $1 million in 5.5 years, people are choosing to transact in Bitcoin over the US dollar in near entirety. Remember how we heard before, this is from the guy Plan B, this is from Cathie Wood, it's from multiple. Cathie Wood recently said what was it? She said she's even upped her prediction for Bitcoin because of the ETFs and the other ETFs around the world, just those. That's not including anything else that we will get over the course of this year or the future. Just now, she says she's predicting by 2030 a Bitcoin price of anywhere between 1.5 million to I think $3.8 million. She's like, the demand is far too strong. The price has to rise mathematically. Supply and demand. It can't trend sideways forever. Do you understand what a $3 to $5 million Bitcoin means over the course of a 5 to 10 year period? Bitcoin has then outperformed every other. Bitcoin already has. For those of you who've never seen the chart, you can find it. You can even Google it. Type up how much percentage is Bitcoin up since 2009, since it first came out. I think Bitcoin is up several million %. It is the best performing asset that we've ever had. I think the world is changing and will, of course, accelerate in its change as well. When I discuss with people, and I understand skeptics. Believe me, I truly do. When I got into the market, if you told me $100,000 Bitcoin, I would have been like, well, this guy's absolutely insane. It is impossible to ignore the news. And some people are geniuses. Can you imagine getting news every single day about governments and banks, BlackRock and Fidelity buying up Bitcoin, and you can still ignore it and pretend it's not happening? When we get to $1 million Bitcoin, I think the world will have a collective gasp. I think it'll come from the people who are in crypto, who are kind of like, we did it. And it'll come from the people who don't have any crypto, who are going to realize, I don't want to say the error of their ways. That's a little bit too dramatic. But you understand what I'm trying to say. These are, my friends, the numbers for the year 2030. That's the shocking part. Because what happens after 2030? You get 2031 and 2032 and numbers. They keep going up. I've discussed with friends before the craziest price prediction that we get for Bitcoin usually comes around 2032. It's from all the people who have charts. The most famous one is the guy Plan B, where his chart is showing a $10 million plus Bitcoin by the year 2032 or after the halving. My question is then, what is Bitcoin's price in 2040? What is Bitcoin's price in 2050? How much money are you passing on to your family in the year 2055 or 2060? It's this long-term growth, long-term investment kind of thing that we've been going over and constantly. When rich people are buying assets, they're not buying them to go, I'm going to hold it for 3 weeks and then get rid of it when the market dips by 4% because I was scared. They buy and they hold. They do this for all their assets. If all the rich people are buying up all the Bitcoin right now, if you've been missing the last couple of videos as well, we've been getting a lot of, hyper whale accumulation kind of news. As far as that, while prices dipped, rich people were buying. And when prices stayed the same and were sliding sideways, people were buying tens of thousands of Bitcoin. And those are just the ones that were in the news. Because you're also still missing the other institutions and companies who are doing it through the ETFs. And also Mr. 100 and all the other ones who are buying tons of Bitcoin as well. Of course, all these questions will be answered sometime in the future, but I kind of want to know now. I mean, I know I'm not the only one. $1 million Bitcoin is something that I don't think that anyone is ready for. I think even Jack Dorsey would probably clutch his pearls when it happens, because it means not only that we've won, that the world has changed, but the future is then only bright for people who hold Bitcoin. Think about it. If Bitcoin goes to $1 million, how much money will you have made? How much money will anyone who owns a portion of a Bitcoin have made? If by the year 2040, we have a $38 million Bitcoin because the world's transactions are running on Bitcoin, how much money will you then have? Imagine trying to buy 1 million Satoshis right now compared to buying 1 million Satoshis when Bitcoin's at $1 million US. Yeah. Intense times that we are in. Didn't mean to make the video so intense, but it's more of all these people keep coming up with the same exact numbers. And I mean, even more so, a lot of times we've had people predicting crypto prices and they were usually wrong in that they were usually too low. The weirdest one, whatever. I don't have to dig into it, but yeah. So we'll see what ends up happening. I mean, we don't have a choice, but right now, between the fundamentals of the market, the fundamentals of the Bitcoin network, the levels of accumulation that we see going on, and I mean the literal news that governments and central banks are buying Bitcoin. You've watched this channel before, right? Yeah. I think that's going to do it for this video. I do hope that you've all enjoyed. I do hope you all are having a great day, morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. Tell me your thoughts. Do these numbers sound sensible? Do they sound like things that are going to happen? If you don't think that Bitcoin is going to $1 million, where else would it go? That's a logical question. I've seen, once again, but there was also skepticism before when Bitcoin hit 20,000, because we had a lot of people saying that in the next couple of years, Bitcoin was going to 50K. It didn't go to 50K, it went to 70K. And then people were still skeptical. So what happens when Bitcoin goes to 200,000? There's still going to be people going, well, it can't go any higher. And then what happens when it hits 500,000? Where do you think Bitcoin is going in the next couple of years? The largest whales who are accumulating all the time think that Bitcoin is going the lowest number that we've seen for 2030. I forgot who said it. They said it was their bearish scenario for Bitcoin. I think it was 600,000 for 2030. The majority of them are saying 1 million to 1.5 million, and Kathy Wood is saying $3.8 million per coin. We'll see what happens in the future. Anyway, yeah. Thank you all once again for watching, listening, liking, commenting, and supporting. And I will most certainly be talking to you all soon. See you.